Some of you might be old enough to remember Art Bell before George further ruined things. Coast to Coast, nothing but propaganda, adult fairy tales, stories for exceptionally stupid people, gullible people. That's what this is. If you look closely, look at how many people have shared it. 1,322. 9,357 have clicked the little like on there. A like sigil, because they can't think for themselves, apparently. This is just as good as Edward Snowden allegedly stealing secrets in a very short window of time, which would have been physically fucking impossible based on what he boasts, or Julian Assange, with WikiLeaks doing what he did, allegedly. And both of them are alive and well and talking. Would you agree? In stark contrast, you got people like, I can't remember his first name. He's now dead. He's the guy that, I can't think of his last name now, McAfee. The guy that knocked out antivirus software. Keep in mind, he worked for our masters as well. We wouldn't need antivirus software if the home entertainment, the home laptops and desktops weren't built to fail. We wouldn't need any of that if it was built well, which it should have been, but it wasn't. And the fellow that I'm referring to, if I'm not mistaken, was Oft, but maybe I'm wrong, just the same. He was challenging the IRS, among other things. He was speaking out of turn, and it was frowned upon. He had quite a platform. Either way, back to point. When you see things like this, the fella in question, do you think he would be alive? Do you think what he's speaking to would be censored on the DARPA internet? I mean, just consider, you can go through the accounts that I moderate, and you can consider what I talk about on the internet, and you can see that I am censored on the fucking DARPA internet. So if something like this was as big as this claims, it sure as shit would have no traction. I would not have seen it today, and I wouldn't be able to show you an example of fucking propaganda. A wet dream for pseudo-intellectuals to click repost and circulate. That's why we have access to the DARPA internet. That's why we have free social media platforms. It's a red flag. It doesn't come up because you and I aren't surrounded by people who scrutinize things, which is to say, think for themselves. Another way to appreciate this, you can think of commercial aircraft and or vessels that travel in the general direction of the area in question, and they are quickly guided back because this shit is monitored and or shot out of the fucking sky. They will be shot down. So I'm going to play this for you, and it is absolutely fucking ridiculous. But the terrifying part is, and the reason I built all this up, is because most people you and I are surrounded by would be easily taken in by this. It's a story. We like being told stories. It's sensational. People love sensational shit. Otherwise, big budget Hollywood slop would not have its place in, popular culture. It wouldn't exist. Because it couldn't exist if nobody supported it. I'm telling you something in terms of dog shit like this. But this is what TikTok in particular is best at, misleading people by example. And most people out there are more than willing to take part in that. But what the fuck do I know? Oh, and what I'll do, I'll pinch this so you don't have to hear my background noises. 1 second.
Stole a jet.
If it will let me. Let's see if it will let me. Yeah, it will let me. Another thing you'll see on TikTok, if something actually fucking matters, it won't let you download it. It won't let you pinch it. And I'll show you again. There's the little download arrow. Because all we use are fucking sigils these days.
You stole a jet to see if there were really lands beyond the ice wall, to see if the things John Hemington spoke of, the Dark Continent, the Pantheons, actually existed.
Exactly. Look, I had nothing to lose. And so I'm standing outside a maximum security fence at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, masked up. I'm just trying to spot any possible security, but I cut the fence and make my way in. And as I shattered the glass to get into the building, this alarm just starts blaring. And I'm thinking, hell, if there wasn't security on shift yet, they're definitely on their way now, right? And so I'm just sprinting down the hall, hearts racing, until I find the aerial control department. And I just grab the first badge I see off the aircraft key card repository. And as I sprint back out to the flight line to get on one of these jets, I see the facility's security personnel just flushing the place. And I mean, I've got good distance, but they're on my tail. And so as I jump inside a jet and start initializing the engine, I'm seeing security literally just sprint head on in my direction. But I mean, look, I wasn't stopping. I was in too deep at this point. Where it really had gotten out of control, right, was as I start to take off down the airstrip, I see one of the other jets behind me start to rev up. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, I hope these people are ready for the jet chase of the century, because I ain't landing until I'm 1,000 miles beyond the ice wall.
You're out of your mind, man.
Look, it gets to a point, I'm flying south over the Antarctic Ocean. I've got 2 or 3 of these other jets behind me. They're kind of radioing me on the traffic control, just threatening me, begging me to land. I'm saying back to them, like, just trust me. You guys don't understand, right? Like, we've been lied to. Trust me, you'll see what's ahead. They're going, buddy, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, we're just going to come back up around the other side of the globe. You know, they're telling me we're going to hit the Indian Ocean, Australia, right? They were thinking in terms of the global model. But this is where it gets crazy. You know, as they realize I ain't stopping, one of the other pilots says to me, he goes, listen, you land that thing now. We sign an NDA and go home. Act like this never happened. But go ahead, continue forward if you must, but just know it's a one-way ticket. You ain't ever coming back.
What did you do?
What I set out to. I could see the wall by this point. There was no turning back. And as I fly over the wall, the other jets behind me just hit wide pivots to turn around, and the pilot radios me one last time. He goes, crazy son of a bitch. Good luck, kid. And I mean, look, I just soar off into no man's land. I'm baffled. I'm seeing land masses that have never been accounted for. The navigational equipment on the jet is no longer working, but I know as long as I stay due south, I'll reach Panthea. I'll reach the Dark Continent. And lo and behold, 30 or so hours later, sun goes down and it never comes back up. I start to drop my altitude to get a better view, and there she was. I saw the dark lands. I saw everything that Hemington had spoke of. Look, I landed the jet on a clear landscape, and before I even had a chance to get out, there they were. The Pantheons Hemington spoke of, stepping in slowly. I mean, they were literally surrounding the aircraft. You know, I'm thinking, what the hell are they doing, right? And as I'm getting ready to power up the engine, I can't move a muscle.
What do you mean?
I couldn't move if I'd wanted to. I believe they'd had some sort of control over my central nervous system. Their biofield was just so disproportionately powerful.
That's impossible.
Listen, when an electromagnetic broadcast is strong enough, it can influence another. Okay, it's like an EMP on your nervous system.
What happened?
As they got closer, it got stronger. I felt them probing my mind, wanting to know who I was, where I came from. They saw everything.
What did they want?
My hand started moving against my will and pulled the lever to release the airlock on the door of the jet. 8 or 9 of them came on board.
My God.
As my hands went through the motions of initializing takeoff, I realized what they wanted.
You brought them back here.
At that point, I had no choice.
If you look closely, now this continent, this dark continent, has been given a name by our masters, and they want people to repeat this shit. It's just as good as fucking Tartaria, or the Black Knight satellite, or the numerous other fucking distraction campaigns that have been circulated long term. As long as the internet has been privy to the masses in the public sphere. It's a fucking joke. I also feel like I'm about to sneeze, but things like this make me mad because most people are dumb and they will repeat it. This shit is fucking retarded. Have you ever flown in a plane at night? Can you see anything out your window? I'm talking about the land masses. I mean, if you're close to the ground and it's lit up by a city, maybe. By the lights of a city, maybe. Not very well. If you've flown in a plane and you know what I'm talking about. This guy is supposedly, high altitudes. Because who knows what he's going to encounter. You wouldn't fly low altitudes. You might hit a big tree. Or you might hit a big fucking rock. Right? Who knows? It's it's a new frontier. So, as this reads, and there she was. I saw the dark lands. I know it's 2024, but does dark mean light now to most people? Is that what this refers to? Because that doesn't check out either. The fella in the video says they saw everything. However, it didn't translate to captions for some reason. He is referring to, being in the moment, talking to bullshit, terrestrial aliens or people in, the outlands, blah, 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 blah. They're supposedly, high tech, this, that, and the other thing. But they don't understand where he came from. They're not aware of you and I on the other side of this bullshit story. But they're capable of, freezing up his muscles and reading his mind. That's the limitation to, their power. So they're waiting for this, primitive being to tell them where he came from. This is fucking retarded. Something I echo often. Our masters aren't terribly clever, but their methods are effective because you and I are surrounded by good people by and large who are doing horrible things, mind you, but these good people are gullible. As gullible as the day is long. Stupid fucking people. You and I are surrounded by absolutely stupid fucking people. And it hurts me to say that because I'm a Pisces and I have way too much faith in people, and I assumed, mind you, early on that it couldn't be this bad. It couldn't be this bad. But it is this bad. And the internet, social media reflects as much. 2020 to present day reflects this much. What we are experiencing reflects this much. I want you to think back to the Darklands and the name attributed to the Darklands. I began this little segment with, our masters aren't terribly clever, but their methods are effective, etc., etc., etc. Would you agree that Panthea sounds an awful like Pangea? Where the continents all fit together like a fucking Lego system? Or a series of Legos? Multiple Legos? Lego blocks? Duplos, if you prefer giant Legos, under a different banner. This shit is for the birds. I also usually echo, our masters are popping jokes and you and I are the punchline. If the majority of people circulate this shit, it does affect you and I. It means that there's more noise on the internet. It means that there's fewer answers on the internet, if there are any at all to begin with. These days, I find next to nothing on the internet that is worth a fucking goddamn. What people are talking about is pointless fucking slop. It's propaganda and or distraction campaigns. It's noise. It is useless fucking noise. Useless to anybody, with a brain between their ears who's willing to use it. I mean, these are useful idiots. They work for our masters. Whether they're getting paid to or not, they're doing it. It should terrify you. It should keep you up at night. It should bother you. It should piss you off. It should get you all rattled. It should rattle you, and it should get you worked up. That's what I'm getting at. It should get you fired up. It should make you want to fucking do the right thing. Because the chances are you're one of those fucking idiots. To varying degrees. We all are, myself included. I mean, old days, I chased my fucking tail with this shit. And it is a waste of your fucking time and energy, which is why this is in place. Another example of that is our masters telling people, and this is a grassroots practical approach, which is less than practical, telling people to go out and fucking protest in the street. Think about it. People don't. I'm an activist. They'll squeal. But what do? They go out, they scream at the sky, they make a sign, they pat each other on the ass, and they pretend that they did a good job. They return home, and it's business as usual. We're still fucking debt slaves. Things are shit, and we're still working towards social credit slavery. Was it constructive? No. Did they band together and organize? No. Not in terms of something constructive. Is anything ever going to change for the better? No. Fuck no. Are we working towards a revolution? People might repeat it. But no! Because most people out there would buy into the slop that I've highlighted in this video. And or, if the TV told them to go scream at the sky and make a sign, and hang out with their friends, and throw rocks at cops and blah, 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 they would. They fucking would. Again, 2020 is a great example of that. It is. It's a prime fucking example of just how fucking bad things are and just how dumb people are. And it's not about to get better because many of them are breeding. They're shitting out little, bargain bin versions of themselves who are going to be raised with even worse fucking social engineering campaigns than you and I are privy to today. Because no one's stopping that, because people don't understand where that fucking comes from or that any of that exists in the first fucking place. Most people you meet don't understand that we're being manipulated across the board in terms of society and on the internet. The social fucking fill in the fucking blank. It's social propaganda. It's social fucking nonsense. It's garbage for stupid fucking people to buy into instead of looking into. Thanks for hearing me out. Those of you who even saw this and or are capable of using that brain between your fucking ears.